What's up, Zero Gang? So, someone sent me this video and I actually watched this video before I made any reaction to it. I'm sorry, but it sparked my curiosity. Basically, this guy is talking about life isn't a virtual reality, and he's going to contradict himself heavily in this video. I'm going to annihilate every single time this buffoon says something that he doesn't know what he's talking about. So he's going to use a little bit of facts and a lot of contradiction. All right, that's a contradiction. Now I'm sounding stupid, but a lot of contradiction in this video. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. This guy thinks he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't. And in fact, he proves that life is a virtual reality more than him trying to prove that it's not. So I'm going to show you guys exactly why this guy is actually an idiot. Okay, so I'm going to destroy his narrative real quick. Let's get into the video.
Reality isn't physical, but instead is based on a code.
True.
But if that's true, how come there aren't any glitches? How come you don't hit the edge of the map, so to speak? Well, I'm going to show you right now that there are glitches all around you. You just haven't noticed. We're going to look at 5 glitches in reality and then show how they prove that you are eternal, that death is an illusion. So let's take a look at the first.
So first, I want to say that I agree with him on that part. Life is virtual reality, and you are eternal. I truly believe that you are, everything's eternal, okay? Because we're all hex values and numbers and binary. So I strongly believe that we all are eternal. No one truly dies, okay? I'll get into that as he gets into it more in the video.
One right now, and that is nothing can travel faster than the speed of light.
True.
Now think about how strange that is. There is a maximum speed in reality. Once you hit the speed of light, which is roughly 300,000 kilometers a second, you can't go any faster.
True.
That's it. That is the cosmic speed limit. This is completely counterintuitive to how we normally conceptualize speed. People tend to just pass over these things without really thinking about how crazy they are. I mean, really think about it. There is a cosmic speed limit. There's a certain speed that you just can't go faster. The speed of light is at 300,000 kilometers per second, no matter what. If you're standing still and you turn on a flashlight, that light will travel at 300,000 kilometers per second. If you're on a rocket ship traveling at incredibly fast speeds and you turn on a light, the light will still be traveling at 300,000 kilometers per second. You cannot go faster than the speed of light, no matter what. You hit a wall. Now, what's the reason for that? Why is that? We're going to find out in just a second. But now let's look at the next.
So the reason, to make it very simple, is because light has no mass. That is the reason. He goes into all this stuff about it, and I might actually just forward some of that because he talks about a bunch of mumbo jumbo stuff to make it actually more technical than what it is. But it's because light has no mass, to make it very, very simple.
Glitch in reality. Wave-particle duality shows that everything in existence exhibits wave behavior. That means that everything, even matter, behaves like a wave. Again, this is completely counterintuitive to how you perceive reality. You typically think of things as being solid and...
Okay, it is not counterintuitive on how you perceive reality. Like I said, he's using more mumbo jumbo stuff, and I'll explain as he explains more in the video.
Inert, but no, everything is wave-like. Everything is in motion and in flux. Next is the law of conservation of energy. This shows that energy can never be created or destroyed, only transformed.
Kind of like a virtual reality, right?
Because everything, ultimately, at the fundamental level, is energy. This means that nothing can ever be truly created or destroyed, only transformed into other forms. Everything is eternal, and energy at its most pure state is light. This is going to be very important to remember in a moment. Next up is quantum entanglement, and this shows if you have 2 particles that are entangled, a change in one particle will instantly affect the other, no matter the distance. Now, why is this important? Well, remember, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. That means that these particles can't be sending a signal to each other, because if a signal were sent between them, time would be required to pass as the signal travels. But there is no time interval. The particles communicate instantaneously. instantaneously. There is an instantaneous communication happening between the particles. This shows that reality is non-local, which means distance is an illusion. Now you might be thinking, what is this?
Okay, now that makes absolute no sense. Distance. Right, with that. Okay, so basically, which I'm saying is contradicting himself. The reason why it can send a signal instantly, because if it was a virtual reality, right? So basically, like when you look at things, basically it changes its composition, okay? To make it very, very simple. So I'm not gonna get really deep into it, but when you look at, I'll put it this way, to make it in layman's terms. When you look at stuff, objects knows you're looking at them. To make it very, very simple, okay? When you look at it, it changes its composition, okay? So, I guess, let's say life's a virtual reality, right? The only thing that will make sense is to, by our observation, if we look at something, have it instantly become whatever it is that we're looking at, so we wouldn't realize that we're in virtual reality, all right? The same way you're far away from something, you get closer and closer and closer, and it looks more realistic as you get closer. The same way in a video game, the further you are away, the less pixels are being rendered. As you get closer, more pixels are being rendered. The same thing can be used for real life. So when you look at something, it would have to change immediately, right? Upon you looking at it. This is upon observation, which he failed to actually say. So upon observation, it changes immediately, okay? Now, the only way that will be possible, and it moves faster than the speed of light, when you look at it, I might add, the only way that will be possible is if there's a program, okay? And that's what I'm talking about. This guy makes no sense. It isn't traveling, isn't an illusion. That makes absolutely no sense. That makes no sense. If it's an illusion, let's travel the universe in a nanosecond, all right? But that's impossible. You know why? Because it's not an illusion. And the only thing that will make sense is that if we were to like hack the virtual reality, if that's even possible, then we could do something like that. What he's talking about, it's an illusion, makes absolutely no sense, and he's contradicting himself right there. Let's get into the rest of it.
Have to do with anything. Just stick with me. This all fits together, and I'm going to show you how. Next up are singularities. Now, singularities exist at the very center of black holes.
That's true.
A singularity is a point which contains an unfathomably huge mass in an infinitesimal point. All physical laws seemingly break down at this moment. They're the ultimate glitch. But singularities don't only exist at the center of black holes. Think of the Big Bang singularity. Scientific materialism says that everything, all of existence, originated at a singularity, that everything came forth from that singularity. That was the beginning of the space-time existence. It is founded on a singularity.
Okay, so something else that he's not really making sense about, okay? So what he's trying to say, which he's failing at, he's talking about a white hole, not a singularity, okay? Singularities don't go-boom. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. He's talking about a white hole, which is actually a theory. Okay, singularities do exist, which is true, but he's talking about a white hole. He's not talking about a singularity. Singularity is just at the center of a black hole. Basically, it's where all like the density is inside of a black hole. Okay. Now, it is theorized that once a black hole, enough stuff falls into a black hole, the black hole's gonna suck things up. When stuff falls into a black hole, enough of it that eventually the singularity dies out, or etc., or the black hole becomes inactive, and it becomes a white hole and it spits everything out. And it's theorized that once a white hole happens, it spits everything out. It's like a big bang. Each galaxy, I don't want to say universe, but I mean if you live in the multiverse, but that's too many different things. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Basically, he's talking about a white hole, not a singularity. He's an idiot.
Which means that in the eyes of physics, the Big Bang, the beginning of everything, according to them, is founded on a mystery.
That's not true. That is absolutely not true. Okay, there are multiple Big Bangs. Okay, that's the whole point of like the multiverse. He's mixing like theory with actual scientific facts, and he's talking about the multiverse. In the multiverse, there are multiple. Like, we're inside of a black hole right now, if you're talking about like a multiverse. And that's theorized. There's no proof of that. So again, he's an idiot.
Really, stop and think about how insane all these things are. Aren't these questions unanswerable? No, we can answer them simply. They are only unanswerable if you have a failed paradigm. But our paradigm explains it elegantly. We're going to show right now that these glitches, these paradoxes, are only strange.
Okay, they're not glitches or paradoxes. All right, that makes absolutely no sense. I've just explained everything. Let's get into the rest of the video. I'm sorry, this guy's irking me.
When you view reality as being material and being physical, and once you realize that it's not physical,
I'm acting like a teenage girl right now.
Clears
Rolling my
up,
eyes.
fits together, and forms a beautiful picture, and most importantly shows that we, all of us, are eternal. The first thing that you have to understand is that this reality isn't a simulation like a video game.
It is.
It's not something that aliens programmed or something like that. This is a
Okay, so the aliens program and saying it's a virtual reality are two completely different concepts. It does not base itself off of the same concept. All right, one like scientists are saying this is a virtual reality. Nope, alien design. Like no, that wouldn't even make any sense, because if an alien designed a virtual reality, then it wouldn't be an alien. That wouldn't make any sense. The alien would have to be in our reality as well. The virtual reality concept comes from two different things. Either there's a virtual reality where, we're virtual reality, and then someone that created us is a virtual reality, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, right? Like we can create our own virtual reality eventually, right? So what's the chances of us being the real reality? It's like almost 0 to none, almost, right? So basically, the concept is like, if we could create one, then it means that someone created ours, and so on and so forth. And there's only one real virtual reality, and our chances of being that real virtual reality is almost impossible. Now, the other one about the aliens, that's some other stuff. That's like some conspiracy crap that makes absolutely no sense. And then the other one, which he's failing to mention as well, is basically like a VR headset, right? What if you were to make a VR headset so realistic that the NPCs, non-playable characters, were so realistic that they gain consciousness? What if the video game characters were so realistic and the computer was so well designed, which is actually possible, that they believe that they were real? Like when you play Grand Theft Auto, right? What if those characters really believe that they were real? They wouldn't know. They would really believe that they're real. You get what I'm saying? So who's to say that the same doesn't happen for us? There would be one real character, or one character is being controlled. I could not be real, so on and so forth. And in Grand Theft Auto, when all those characters would be talking, and the little dialogues, when you're walking down the street in Grand Theft Auto, what if they were so realistic, the game was so realistic, those characters had consciousness? They're doing their little videos, they're taking selfies, etc. in the video game, but they think that it's real. Same thing can be said for us. And only one character is real from that person's perspective. You get what I'm saying? He's mixing like quantum physics with it as well. Because quantum physics is like observation and perspective. He's mixing a bunch of things into one, and he's not making any sense, and that's why he's an idiot. Let's continue.
Mathematical reality. It's a reality of mind, a shared dream, but it's all based on mathematical patterns. Now, this mathematical coding.
Mathematical patterns kinda sounds like a virtual reality, doesn't it?
Is why reality can seem like a simulation, because mathematics is very code-like. It follows structured rules, just like a code.
It hurts to hear this guy. I'm trying to be civil here. I'm trying to be civil and not lose my monetization, so I'm acting like a schoolgirl. I'm doing everything I can right now to not lose my monetization. I want to curse so bad, so I'm rolling my eyes like a third grade female.
So keep this in mind, that reality is a mathematical reality of mind. And we're going to put this all together now to see how this all links up. Because these glitches, so to speak, aren't actually glitches or errors. They're only glitches and errors when you view reality as material. But when you realize...
They're not glitches or errors to begin with. They explain themselves. Speed of light. There's a limit. It makes perfect sense. It will make perfect sense. If it is a video game, every game has its processing limit. That will make perfect sense. Like, it makes so much sense, right? So if you move faster than the speed of light, time slows down, right? So time slows down, you don't age. You know why? Because, I don't want to say the algorithm, but the computer can't figure out where you are to give you time. Like for instance, if you play a video game and you move really fast in the map and the map can't load, it can't figure out where you are, so things are timeless. It's the exact same thing in a video game. There's actually a video that explains it even better than what I'm explaining it. I'm trying to explain it really quick. I don't want this video to be extremely long, but basically when you move really fast, the game cannot figure out where you are, so time ceases to exist. In fact, the game around you, if you move a cursor really fast on a map, it freezes until it figures out where you are, and then it processes things around your observation. Your character would be the observer. You get what I'm saying? The character would be the observer. So when you move fast and speed like this, the system doesn't know where you are, so it can't make time exist around you because it doesn't know where you are. So you don't age and time cease to exist. Easily explained by itself. And you know what that sounds like? A virtual reality. Oh no.
Reality isn't material, that it isn't physical, but is actually a mental existence based on a mathematical code. All of this comes together and makes perfect sense.
But it doesn't make perfect sense. It literally doesn't make perfect sense, we just said. Mathematical. What are you talking about? He's entwining a bunch of different theories and facts and trying to make sense out of it. And he's failing.
So let's explain everything right now. So let's take a look at one of the biggest glitches, the singularity, and put everything together and see what it says about existence. The Big Bang states that everything, all of space-time, came from the singularity, a single infinitesimal point at the beginning of time. However, this is a clear violation of the law of conservation of energy, which says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Okay, so let me stop him right there. So let's just go by what he's off of what he's saying, right? Let's go off of what he's saying. So let's just say that what he's saying is correct. Okay, I'm gonna just explain why he's still wrong. Let's say what he's saying is correct. So basically, this dude is saying that, you know, the Big Bang started everything, but it's a contradiction or a paradox because energy can't be created or destroyed. Let's just say it was a virtual reality for a second, okay? If they set everything up, that would still make sense. If it's a virtual reality and they put the coding in and they're like, okay, let's run some tests, yada yada yada, right? And then they finally say, okay, let's start the simulation. That could perfectly happen. They could, the same way you turn a video game on, nothing exists, right? Until it exists in the game. You get what I'm saying? Like when you turn the game off and turn it back on, there's nothing. You turn the game on, there's something. You get what I'm saying? I'm not even talking about like the processors and all that stuff inside the actual computer or their hardware. I'm talking about literally in the game. Nothing exists until you turn it on. That still makes sense if it's a virtual reality. This guy's an idiot. Let's continue.
Transformed. If all of existence suddenly sprang from absolutely nothing at the Big Bang singularity, that would be a huge violation of the law of conservation of energy, which says that energy cannot be destroyed.
Are we talking about virtual reality or are we talking about science?
Transformed. So what's going on?
Which one are we talking about?
You can't have everything coming from absolutely nothing for no reason at all. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Here is what happened. Remember, this is a mathematical reality of mind.
That makes no sense.
Big Bang singularity was not a moment of everything just randomly springing from nothing.
So are you talking about virtual reality or not?
What it was mind being transformed into matter. This is not a violation of the law of conservation of energy because nothing is being created or destroyed. It's being transformed. Mental energy as mathematical patterns, mathematical waveforms.
Wouldn't that still make sense if it was virtual reality? Contradiction again.
Into matter. This is why we have all of reality seemingly springing from an infinitesimal point. It is reality being transformed from mind into matter. Think about when you go to sleep and dream, and a dream world is suddenly springing into existence from nothing, so to speak.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain about with dreams as well. I'm gonna explain about with dreams as well. Okay, so with a dream, right? So this is why virtual reality explains everything. So with a dream, basically, if it's a virtual reality, that would be so like quantum physics, right? Like everything goes by your conscious mind. Even animals actually are self-aware, so they apply to this as well. Anything that's alive, pretty much, except like trees that are self-aware, or any like insects and trees would be excluded from this. So basically, how this will work, right? if you were to dream, okay, if you were to actually have a dream, your conscious mind would just simply go into like another version of you, into, you know, an alternate reality. Basically, in quantum physics, you never die, because anytime you actually die, your mind goes into, like, your consciousness goes into another version of you at the exact same point, which also explains the multiverse and what this buffoon is talking about in this video. So that actually can still be explained if life is a virtual reality. And if you notice, he kind of cuts back on the virtual reality thing because he doesn't know what he's effing talking about. This guy's an idiot. Let's continue.
Ready, the Big Bang Singularity and the law of conservation of energy. There is no violation of the law of conservation of energy, and the Big Bang Singularity is instantly explained when you realize that this is a reality of mathematical mind, and the domain of space-time is transformed mind. Next, we get the question of wave-particle duality.
If I can make up words,
everything behaves like a wave.
Extra
That's
smart.
because mind is sinusoidal waveforms. Everything exhibits wave-like behavior because, in truth, at its fundamental level, nothing is material, it's mental. So a particle will follow a wave trajectory because it is following a mental trajectory. Just like
unless
I have a trajectory
reality,
if
right?
I wish to go up and get something from the shelf. A particle also has a mental trajectory. This is its internal mathematical coding, its internal programming, so to speak, that tells...
So he's literally, like, this is what I'm saying, this guy's like cherry picking like certain words to make sense or to fit his like little YouTube agenda or whatever. That actually makes no sense. So if he's working off of a mathematical coding, as he says, right, then wouldn't that simply explain it's a virtual reality? If it's literally running off of like binary, for instance, then wouldn't it follow like the actual hex value, right? I don't know, a lot of you guys probably don't know about like binary, but what he's pretty much he's admitting pretty much to, even on his own point, that it works off of like a system, like a code, like it works off of like it's reading something. And that's the exact same thing that happens in a computer or a video game. There's a coding. It's not so random, I guess you can say. Basically, right? There's a guy who's able to prove you can predict everything in life if you know the math to it. If you know the math to every single thing that happens, you're like God. And a guy did a couple of videos on it on YouTube, and he was able to win the lottery 3 times in a row. And he also he put something in the ocean. He ended up finding it like 5 years later because he did the math on when it would be back in the same spot. He did the math on how to win the lottery. Like everything works by, as he said, math, which is true, but it works by math. And you know what else works by math? A virtual reality. Let's get back into the video.
How to behave. To get a better understanding of this, you can think of all of us as large particles following out our internal mental programming, our internal mental coding. This is what allows us to do anything at all. I will go up and get something from my shelf because I'm following my internal mental programming, my internal mental code. The same thing is happening at all levels, at all fundamental levels of existence. Particles follow a wave trajectory because they are following their internal mental programming, which is based on sinusoidal waveforms. What about quantum entanglement, where two particles can have seemingly instantaneous communication between each other? This is easily solved once you realize that this is a mathematical reality, a reality of mind, because all distance is...
So he just says a mathematical reality, which explains exactly that it's a virtual reality. It would make perfect sense that upon our observation, things would have to immediately change its composition for us to exist. For instance, right? If you can't see behind you, does it exist? If you're in Los Angeles, right, from your perspective, and you're not in Minnesota, for instance, does Minnesota exist? You're not there. Can you see Minnesota? Maybe Minnesota exists for the other NPCs that are there, that's seeing it. But basically, the theory that he's trying to use is that things only exist by observation. As you look at things, like behind me, it doesn't exist from my perspective. You get what I'm saying? Things only exist upon observation. And that's why he's an idiot, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's trying to say, oh, well, it's not a virtual reality because it's with your mind. Even though he's actually proving the exact point on how life is a virtual reality. Let's let him hang himself.
An illusion. Think of when you're playing a game. Distance is an illusion.
No, it
you
isn't.
can travel around an entire game world, but ultimately, there isn't any real physical distance. So to have two parts of the game communicate, you don't need to have a signal travel from point A to point B.
That's actually not, that's completely not true. Okay. Have you guys played World of Warcraft? Unless you have an animal or some type of dragon to fly on, it takes a long time to travel in that game. Okay, it's virtual, but it takes distance exists. Distance exists. It's a measurement. All right, and you can use that measurement in a video game or an R reality, which is probably a virtual reality. Which again, he doesn't make any sense. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He obviously does not play video games. Distance even exists in something as simple as Street Fighter. In Street Fighter, how close you are to your character, how far away you are, that is a measurement of distance, and it exists. And then of course they have the barrier on the side. They have the other barrier on the side, so you can't pass it. If you were to pass that barrier, that would still be distance. This guy makes absolutely no sense.
All happening in the background, in the coding. Same thing in a dream. Distance is an illusion. You can travel across dream worlds, but is there really any true physical distance? No, it's all happening within your mind.
No, it's not.
Singularity, an infinitesimal point. So two particles in this existence can communicate with each other instantaneously because this is a non-local reality, meaning distance is an illusion because this is a shared
He's
dream
making no
based
sense. You
on
guys
a
do
mathematical
understand this,
code.
right? You
Everything
realize how
happened
little sense he's making,
behind the
right?
scenes in the
You guys need me to
level.
explain anything,
Now,
leave a
why
comment
is it
below.
that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light? Well, think about how incredibly strange that light is. Light is unextended and massless. It doesn't take up any space. It doesn't have any height, length, width, or depth. Light also does not experience space or time. Light is a very special particle known as a boson. This means that light doesn't take up any space. You can effectively have a myriad of photons all occupying the same point. Now think about all these strange particles. It's unextended, it's massless, it doesn't take up length, width, or height. You can fit a myriad of photons all in a single point. What else has these properties? Mind, thought, mind.
This dude is an idiot, man. This dude is an idiot. He's really stupid, and it's hard to not insult this dude, man. Like, he's so stupid. And I read the comments in here and I was like, oh man, he's so right. It makes so much sense, but it makes absolutely zero sense. He's like, what doesn't take up any space? Your mind. Like, this dude sounds like Charles Xavier, man. That makes absolutely no sense. Like, yeah, humans do have the unique ability to think outside the box, right? We have that ability, but it doesn't say, like, it doesn't exclude animals. Like, they don't dream. My dog dreams all the time, right? So is my dog contributing to this mind? Like, animals dream. It's a fact. They dream. Okay? But you act like it's unique to humans. Like, oh, humans created this stuff with our mind. We're all mutants. It's the X-Men. That makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. This guy makes zero sense. What doesn't have any mass? Your mind. That makes zero sense. That makes absolutely zero sense. Like, that's like saying, right, picture, right? A picture takes up no space. That makes zero sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Humans actually have, like, storage in their brains, I might add. Humans actually have storage in their brains. So only so much you can remember. Now, it's a lot, and I forgot. It's like over 100 terabytes. But there is a limit on how much humans can remember. And I guess imagine, etc. That's also why you forget things, because your brain has to throw out the trash or what's not necessary to remember for survival, and your brain has to, your brain has to know how to drive a car. It's detrimental to your survival. Knowing how Sally looks on Thursday isn't very important if you only saw Sally once. So that makes zero sense, because even your brain has a limit on how much space and I can say the save files in your brain takes up space. So it isn't massless. It isn't what he's trying to make. He's an idiot. It makes no sense.
Thoughts don't take up any space either. They don't have any height, length, or depth. You can't measure them with a ruler. The same thing with light. That's because light is mind. Remember, energy in its purest form is
Don't come out of his eye.
All of reality is mind, and the purest form of mind is we can never die. These physical bodies may perish, but they're simply avatars, and energy is only being...
Okay, so you guys get the point of what he's trying to say. So basically saying like you're immortal because your mind created everything. That makes zero sense. So basically what does make sense, life is a virtual reality, and basically you cannot die because your consciousness goes into another version of you each time you die. The same way Mario dies, right? In a video game you play Mario, is that the same Mario? Every single time you lose in a video game, is that the same character? No, it's not the same character. It's actually a different character. Even if you, I guess you can say, look at his values, it is not the same character. Okay? It is not the same character. So each time a character dies, it is not the same character. It is actually a different character. And this is a fact. Now, the same thing can be said for a virtual reality. If life is really a virtual reality, which I believe in personally, then you cannot die because each time you die, you come back. And it's theorized that each time you die, you come back in the exact moment. Every single time that you come close, a close call, every single time you have a close call, from your perspective, you don't die. So let's just say you're walking the dog and a car almost hit you, but it's stopped by an instant. So by other people's perspective, you probably died every single time. But from your perspective, it's always a close call. Always a close call, and you never actually die. That is the thing he's trying to say. But he's trying to say it's like a mathematical mind, and your mind. No, that makes zero sense, and that there's no proof for it, and it makes no sense. All right, that is very stupid and ignorant. And what does make sense is that if you are in a virtual reality and you die, right, and you come back, but you don't know that you died because every single close call you had when you're about to die, you went to another version of you, and it would make perfect sense. Let's say someone got hit by a car and they survived it, where they weren't going to die, so there's no need for them to go into another body, or basically another body of them at the same time. And I also would explain the multiverse, and I also would explain dreams, because you're dreaming, then maybe it's an entanglement pretty much of, you know, your consciousness going into the other version of you. And there's actually videos and proof. I would say it's really like hard proof, but I'll say there's a little bit of proof of people apparently coming, like they're waking up in different timelines. Now, I don't have any hard proof of this, but there are multiple people that have said they woke up, they are awakened in different timelines, and they don't belong in this timeline. Imagine you wake up and things are just different, right? Different girl, different age, different everything. You're like, what is happening? That has actually happened to a couple people. Google those videos. I think they're very, very interesting. And also Google is Life of Virtual Reality. The biggest video will pop up is about an hour and 30 or 40 minutes long, and it will explain everything even better than what I'm explaining in this video. But I had to make a reaction to this video because this guy has no idea what he's talking about. But I think that pretty much covers everything that this guy is saying. Let me see how much is left of the video. That's pretty much all of it. The rest of it, he's just talking about mathematical mind and making real sense about it. But basically what does make sense is that everything he explained is literally how virtual reality works. And he's talking about in a video game, there's no distance and all that stuff. That makes no sense. There's distance in a video game, and distance is a measurement of space. You get what I'm saying? That you can't distance doesn't exist to an extent of what he's saying. If you want to say distance doesn't exist to anything, distance doesn't exist, right? Like this chair exists, I'm sitting in it. But distance, you can't really say it exists because it's a measurement. It has to do with math. So you can't say it doesn't exist at all, because it wouldn't make sense what he's saying. It's a measurement, and a measurement is math, right? So pretty much, it makes sense that you know, there's distance in a dream, or there's distance in a video game, etc., because it's a measurement. Alright, so that makes no sense. Like I said, this guy's an idiot. I explained pretty much every single thing. If you guys have any questions, I'm just gonna ramble at this point. This video is very long. So, if you guys have any questions at all about what this buffoon is talking about, please leave a comment. Make sure you guys like the video. Subscribe if you believe life's a virtual reality. Or maybe if you even believe what this guy is saying is true, make sure you guys subscribe. Let's talk about it. I want to know. Like I said, this video is long. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Just take me away.